The January 11th, 2023 meeting of the Board of Estimates is now called to order. The board continues to meet in a hybrid format. For those of you here live, please take a moment now to silence your cell phones and other electronic devices. Please keep yourself on mute for those attending virtually until you have been recognized by the chair. At this time, I ask our clerk, Celeste Amato, for any corrections, additions, and notes, abstentions for today's agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. Before I note changes to the agenda, I would like to note for our audience and our board that this was our very first board agenda produced by our new automated system. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that enthusiasm. For folks that are used to our former agenda, you'll notice there's still lots of formats and little glitches that we are working out, and I do want to especially thank the board for their patience and grace as we work through some of our technical difficulties and formatting challenges, and an enormous thank you to everyone on our Board of Estimates team and all of our internal departments, to the Comptroller's Office. Everyone has put time into this, and I'm so grateful. And to our agency partners also, who've put a lot of effort and given a lot of patience in this process too. Thank you, everyone. And now I would like to note this morning for the January 11th, 2023 Board of Estimates meeting that we have the following designees joining us this morning in the absence of the Honorable President Nick Mosby. Council Vice President Sharon Middleton is chairing our meeting this morning. And in the absence of the Honorable Comptroller Bill Henry, we are joined by Deputy Comptroller Erica McClammy, who will sit and vote on his behalf. We do not have any changes or corrections to note this morning. We did receive the following protests on page 102 through 103, WC 1315, Hillen and Penn Lucy North Neighborhoods Water Main. A protest was received from Monumental Paving and Excavating Incorporated, and a protest was received from Economic International Construction Company, Inc., general contractor. I will also note again that this item is going to be deferred this morning, but we did receive those two protests. I have the following deferrals to list for the board this morning on page 11. Renewal FY23 Chubb Insurance. This item is being deferred till February 1st, 2023 at the request of the Comptroller. On page 102 through 103, Department of Public Works, WC 1315, Hillen and Penn Lucy North Neighborhoods, Water Main. This item is being deferred until February 1st, 2023 at the request of the Department of Public Works. On page 104, Department of Public Works, WC 1412, Urgent Need Water Infrastructure Rehabilitation and Improvements Phase 3, FY21. This item is being deferred until February 1st, 2023 at the request of the Department of Public Works. On page 105, Department of Public Works, SC 1027, Rehabilitation and Improvements to Sanitary Sewers at various locations in Baltimore City. This item is being deferred until February 1st, 2023 at the request of the Department of Public Works. And on page 112, Department of Public Works, WC 1412, Urgent Need Water Infrastructure Rehabilitation and Improvements Phase 3 FY21, Transfer of Funds. This item is also being deferred until February 1st, 2023 at the request of the Department of Public Works, and that, of course, is companion to the contract I mentioned a little bit earlier. The following items have moved to the non-routine agenda. Page 2, Department of Audits, Biennial Performance Audit of the Department of Human Resources for the years ended December 31, 2021 and 2020. Page 45, Department of Human Resources, Police Department Employee Contract Renewal. Page 70, Bureau of Procurement, B5000, 5017, Background Investigations, Kentech Consulting Incorporated. And on page 92, Bureau of Procurement, contract number 8000, IA Pro Public Portal Solution with CI Technologies Incorporated. We have the following abstentions to note this morning. The Honorable Mayor Brandon Scott is abstaining on page 20, Health Department Ratification of Agreement with Johns Hopkins University. The Honorable President Nick Mosby and Vice President Sharon Middleton note the following abstentions on page 3, Office of the Council President Travel Request. And on page 47 through 48, Department of Human Resources, elected officials salary classification and adjustment. The Honorable Bill Henry and Deputy Comptroller Erica McClammy have no abstentions to note this morning. City Solicitor Jim Shea has no abstentions to note, and Director of Public Works Jason Mitchell is also noting no abstentions this morning. And I also have the following no votes to note and read into the record for items that are part of the routine agenda. These no votes are for the Honorable President Nick Mosby, who will be voting no on page 24, Housing and Community Development, Home-ARP, Allocation Plan Consulting Agreement. On page 49 through 50, Mayor's Office of Recovery Programs Grant Agreement. On page 53, Mayor's Office of Recovery Programs Agreement to Subgrant ARPA Funding. On page 53, Mayor's Office of Recovery Programs Agreement to Subgrant ARPA Funding. On page 62, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement ARPA Contract. And on page 63, Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement ARPA Contract. Madam Chair, that concludes our changes and corrections for this morning.
Thank you. At this time, I would ask for a motion to approve and adopt this opening statement as read by the clerk.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the opening statement as presented, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The opening statement has been adopted. I now direct the board members' attention to the memorandum from the Council President's Office dated January 9th, 2023, identifying matters to be considered as routine agenda items together with any corrections, additions, abstentions, and no votes that have been noted by the clerk. I will entertain a motion to approve all the items contained on the routine agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the items on the routine agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The routine agenda items have been adopted. The first item on the non-routine agenda can be found on page 2, Department of Audits, audit reports. The audits are for the biannual performance audit of the Department of Human Resources for the fiscal years ending December 31, 2021 and 2020. The board is requested to note receipt of the audit report. At this time, I'll turn the floor over to the auditor, Josh Pash, or Pache?
Patch.
Patch, and his team to walk us through the audit findings.
Good morning, Ms. Vice President, Mr. Mayor, Ms. Deputy Comptroller, honorable board members. My name is Josh Pash. I am the city auditor. I am here to present the biannual performance audit for the Department of Human Resources part-time employment benefits. I will be going over the audit objectives, scope of methodologies, current findings, and taking any questions. There are no prior findings to follow upon. The audit objective was to determine whether the Department of Human Resources effectively monitors part-time employment benefits eligibility. Our scope was fiscal years 21 and 20. We reviewed relevant laws and regulations. We interviewed key individuals from Human Resources to obtain an understanding of the processes and procedures associated with part-time employees and their benefits. We reviewed the Tango Health Incorporated and Mayor and City Council Baltimore Software and Services Master Agreement, and reviewed and evaluated the design of certain internal controls such as recording, reporting, documenting their processes and their monitoring. The Tango Health Incorporated is the third-party vendor who is monitoring and evaluating the need for health insurance benefits for part-time employees. Based on this audit, we did not find any findings, and that concludes our audit. I'll take any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from members of the board?
I have a question.
Yes, Mayor Scott.
Mr. Auditor, is this the first time you have no findings in one of your reports since you've been here?
This is not the first time.
Okay, thank you. Director Herbert was going to get a reward, but now he doesn't.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
No questions. Next, I'll recognize anyone from the Department of Human Resources who is here to respond.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Mr. Mayor, honorable board members. I would say I think the last time there was no findings was also a DHR audit, so I think that reward should still be in play.
A DPW.
But I would say that I want to lift up the great work that our Office of Employee Benefits is doing to ensure that all of our part-time employees receive benefits once they work the requisite number of hours pursuant to the Affordable Care Act, and the work that they do to make sure that that is an affordable, robust benefit for all of our employees.
Are there any questions from the members of the board? Seeing no further questions, I would entertain a motion to note this item.
So moved.
Second.
The next item on the non-routine agenda can be found on page 45, Employee Contract Renewal. The request is to approve a contract for Baltimore Police Department employee Nasith Asharif. Excuse me if I pronounced the name wrong. From July 1, 2022 until 7/1/2023, on behalf of the Department of Human Resources. We need someone to walk us through the settlement.
Good morning. Yes, this was an employment contract with the Baltimore Police Department. I don't know if anyone from the department is on to discuss this. The reason that this is coming to the board late is because there was turnover in the Baltimore Police Department in their HR office. Also, there was a change in process. In the department, their Office of Grants previously would make sure that the employment contracts came to the BOE timely through the ECC process. When their HR director transitioned, that responsibility was transitioned to the HR office. Their new HR lead got the contract to us late. It's my understanding that that business process has been resolved within the police department, and those contracts should go through the ECC process through the normal course, and we shouldn't have a retroactive employment agreement. It came late, and again, the employee did work the hours and should be compensated.
Are there any questions from members of the board? Seeing no further questions, I would entertain a motion to approve this item.
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor of approving this item, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. This item is approved. The next item on the non-routine agenda can be found on pages 70 and 71, Bureau of Procurement. The request is to renew a consulting and professional services agreement with Kentech Consulting. From the Bureau of Procurement, we have Chief Keisha Brown to walk us through the request. The floor is yours.
Good morning. I'm thrown off by not having President
Vice
Mosby here. I
President Sharon
apologize.
Middleton.
Vice President Sharon Middleton, Mayor Scott, Solicitor, and other honorable members of the board, and in place of Comptroller Henry, Erica. I want to present to the board that the Bureau of Procurement wants to renew B5000-5017, which is background investigations, professional services for Kentech Consulting. This contract was awarded in 2017 with the lead team of Baltimore Police Department utilizing the contract, where subsequently DHR also piggybacked on the contract. This renewal is for the period of 11/6/2022 to 11/6/2024, and that is the last renewal for $920,000. I do have some background information I want to share, and then I would like to call on my colleague in IMBU to articulate the IMBU issues on the contract. This contract, again, was awarded in 2017 for $1.9 million, and as a result, it had a 3-year initial term with two-year renewals. So the initial term of 3 years, there was a review done on the compliance. There was an MBE for 11% and a WBE for 5%. During that review, it was found that Kentech was not compliant on either of the goals. There was some subsequent actions taken where Kentech was reached out to by a previous chief in IMBU, where they were given an opportunity to correct any deficiencies in terms of the goal. Chief Lundy will speak to that. Furthermore, they continue to be non-compliant. And there were some reconciliation plans created, and Chief Lundy will also speak to that. Ultimately, today, we're at another crossroad where the supplier has not met the goals. We had a meeting with the supplier on January 4th to articulate our concerns in the performance of the contract and the MBE WBE goals, which they were very receptive to. As a result, we didn't see them as a bad player per se, but we gave them an opportunity to come before the board today. And I believe Mr. Coates will be on to speak on Kentech's behalf.
Okay. Who's the next person that can?
Chief Lundy.
Okay. Chief Lundy, we definitely want to hear from you.
I think he's online.
Oh,
not sure.
Chief Lundy?
Yeah, he's there.
Hey, good morning. My apologies. I'm having a lot of technical difficulty, but I believe I caught most of what Madam Purchaser presented to the board.
Go ahead.
Regarding Kentech's performance, Kentech has been behind on both their MBE and WBE goals. Madam Purchaser kind of laid out the challenges with the contract in terms of the way it's been structured. One of the difficulties that's been taking place is the fact that their MBE was limited in geographic scope to the areas that they could travel to. So that prevented them really from getting any participation on a lot of the BPD investigations that took place out of state. Additionally, with their WBE, there was a period of 3 years when the contract was initially awarded where they didn't get any WBE participation. Their original committed firm, Comprehensive Investigations, was committed via statement of intent to work on the contract. There was some sort of miscommunication so that when Mr. Coates of Kentech went back to them to get them to actually work on the contract, they did not recall that they committed to it, and they subsequently pulled out of doing any work. So WBE did not, the original WBE Comprehensive Investigations did no performance on the contract. And that did not come to the attention of MBU until the first time it came back in for a compliance review for board action in 2020. So that 3-year period without any WBE participation really has hindered them in getting to the 5%. And the geographic scope of their prior MBE has limited them in getting to the 11% commitment. Regarding both of those accounts, they are bringing on additional subs and they are trying to find additional ways for participation besides what they've been doing in the past. One of the challenges they have for their fingerprinting services is that they are using a vendor for fingerprinting services to go towards participation, but it is within the discretion of the applicants. My understanding that is this within the discretion of the applicants for DHR to choose their fingerprinting location. And the other vendor that's being utilized for fingerprinting services for the city currently is not a MWBE. So whenever candidates pick one of the potentially more convenient locations for themselves, but not with the MWBE vendor, they're not getting participation, even though fingerprinting services are required. So as Madam Purchaser said, we have been in discussions with Kentech. MBU has met with Kentech, I believe now 4 times since the summer to discuss this contract and to stress the importance of the need to try to achieve these goals. Through the course of the discussions, we have seen, though, that there have been some challenges that kind of do leave some things out of the control of Mr. Coates, including where somebody decides to do the fingerprinting services, and then also, of course, with BPD recruiting, the location of the recruits. I have said to the extent that we can to try to see if we can identify another background investigative services firm that could travel beyond the 50-mile limitation that the current vendor has placed on themselves for this contract. Thank you, Madam President, or Vice President, that is.
Thank you. There was a Mr. Coates now.
Yes, ma'am.
That can respond if he'd like. Mr. Coates? Is he on? Not on?
I see Mr. Coates online. It appears he may be having some technical difficulties. I'm at least not hearing him. I do see him visually on the screen.
Okay. Mr. Coates, could you unmute yourself? One more time. Could you unmute yourself, please, Mr. Coates?
Hello?
There you are. Yes, we'd like to hear your remarks about what's going on with Kentech. Mr. Coates, are you still there? So we did hear him for a short second there.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I
There
can hear
you
you.
are. Yes,
Okay,
we'd
glad
like
to
to
see
hear
you.
your comments about what's going on.
Yes, yes. Thank you for the opportunity. As you mentioned, we started this contract in 2017. And, originally ourselves, we are a MBE company in a lot of different cities. When we approached this contract, I think initially wanted to become an MBE in the city of Baltimore, but at the time it was told that we could not be an MBE after the award. And so we went through this backtracking of trying to bring in to meet the requirements of both the MBE and the WBE. We've been intentionally working to solve this, but as you mentioned, the performance, the requirements, the outcomes that this contract requires is beyond the scope that requires us to go out and use more vendors outside of the state of, outside of the state of Maryland to do initially the Baltimore police investigations. And so that was the first initial limit there. The second was when we came in with the DHR to begin doing the fingerprints and the regular background checks for employment purposes. The fingerprint requirements needed to be outside of Baltimore again. So we ended up having to bring an additional vendor that was not MBE or WBE certified to utilize, again, to satisfy the requirements. And so being in compliance has not been a matter of shucking that requirement. Is again, I can appreciate being an MBE myself in a lot of different cities that we perform work at, that it's very crucial. But we also try to strive to bring the performance and outcomes and expectations that our clients need. And in this case, it's just a matter of a boundary bill where we are utilizing, majority of the vendors that we're utilizing are outside the city of Baltimore. We will continue to try, as Mr. Chief Lundy pointed out. We're in the process of bringing on a new certified MBE fingerprinting vendor that's in the city of Baltimore that we're hoping that the contract could be utilized and try to encourage the users, if they can, to use that vendor as opposed to the ones that we've had that's outside the state. So we're constantly looking and see where it makes sense that when we can bring in additional vendors, but also at the same time making sure that we can achieve the goals and the requirements that the contract requires.
Thank you for your comments, and thank you, Chief Brown, for really kind of flagging this and working with this person. I think everyone knows how important this issue is with the City of Baltimore, our mayor, and the council. So thank you for your continued work. Are there any questions from members of the board? Seeing no further questions, I entertain a motion to approve
So moved.
this item. All those in favor of approving this item, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. This item is approved.
Thank you. And Madam Chair, may I please take an opportunity to apologize to the Deputy Comptroller, McClammy, by calling her Erica. So, thank you.
You're welcome. The next item on the non-routine agenda can be found on page 92, Bureau of Procurement. The request is to approve a technology license service software agreement with Sole Source CI Technologies, Inc. From the Bureau of Procurement, we have Chief Keisha Brown again to walk us through this request. The floor is yours.
Good morning again. I apologize. Can you repeat what I'm presenting today?
Page 92, the request is to approve a technology license service software agreement with Sole Source CI Technologies, Inc.
I believe, is it BPD will speak on behalf of that item?
Yeah.
Madam Chair, yes, the police should be on the line to talk about this item as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Major Smith from the BPD. Hopefully you can hear me.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you. It looks like my camera's not working, but thank you, everybody. Good morning, Mr. Mayor, Madam Chair, honorable board members. Thank you for this consideration to purchase this IA Pro public portal software. This is a vital piece of software that will allow the BPD to be in compliance with House Bill 670, which is the Maryland Police Accountability Act of 2021. Specifically police discipline and law enforcement programs and procedures. This law took effect July 1st of 2022. That law specifically stated that each law enforcement agency shall create a database which enables a complainant to enter the complainant's case number to follow the status of their case as it proceeds through the investigation, charging, offer of discipline, I can't get that out, trial board, and the ultimate conclusion and discipline. So this IA Pro software, which is currently what the Public Integrity Bureau uses, this is about 95% of law enforcement agencies across the country use this software. It's basically the premier software that's used for complaints of officer misconduct. The PIB worked with IA Pro in preparation of House Bill 670 to create this specific piece of software, the IA Pro portal, to make it easy for the public to make complaints against officers. And it allows PIB, it gives them a unique number that's specific to them and their complaint. They will be able to track the phases of their complaint, so they know exactly where it is, whether it's with the detective, with the supervisor, so on and so forth. Now, there are currently several other jurisdictions in the state of Maryland that are currently using this program, specifically Anne Arundel County, which fortunately we had the benefit of visiting them to review the software, and it does in fact work properly. So again, we are requesting the sole source purchase because this integration into the IA Pro system, this will allow that basically there's no other software that really satisfies the requirements of House Bill 670. It also allows the specific data entry into our IA Pro system, cutting down some redundancy in our staff entering this data from the complainant into our software. So again, we just hope that you consider this matter, and I thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from members of the board? Seeing no questions, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
All those in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. The item is approved.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. The next item on the non-routine agenda can be found on page, oh, sorry. We just did that one. The next item, it's the same thing. The next item on the routine agenda can be found on pages 102 to 103.
Madam
This
Chair, I
was
believe
deferred.
that was our last non-routine item this morning.
Okay.
It was amazingly efficient of us today.
Thank you so much. Before we close, I yield to Mayor Scott for some comments.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. As we all know, today is our city solicitor's last Board of Estimates meeting. If you can see the sadness on his face today, he's very sad about that. But Mr. Solicitor, I want to thank you for your service to the city of Baltimore and for completing the mission that you set forth when we talked about this many, many moons ago about for those who don't know, the city solicitor said to me that he wanted this job, that he wanted to modernize the law department and make it into essentially a high-functioning law firm, but that he also, the most important thing for him would be that a African-American woman be the person coming behind him, and he has set that up, of course, with our Deputy Solicitor, Ebony Thompson, who will be filling his shoes in many ways. Jim would say that he has her shoes to fill and not vice versa. But I want to thank you, Mr. Solicitor, for everything that you've done for the city of Baltimore, for the law department, for me personally, and we hope that you actually enjoy your retirement and don't go back to work. Thank you very much.
And I just also would like to thank you on behalf of the president of the city council and the council. The city solicitor's office, under your leadership, has been extremely responsive to the council's needs and questions that we have. Your team has been just extremely responsive. And again, we also extend and thank you for your service.
You're very welcome.
Would you like to make some comments?
Simply that it's been a real privilege to work with all of you, and particularly Mayor Scott's team. It's been a wonderful experience. Thanks to everyone.
You're welcome. As there is no more business before the board, we will adjourn. The next regular scheduled meeting of the Board of Estimates will occur on Wednesday, January 18th at 9 a.m. I thank everyone for tuning in. Baltimore, stay safe, and we love you.
Hi, Charm TV. We're ready when you are. Good afternoon, everyone. Forgive us for being a few minutes late. We're getting ourselves organized today. I'm Celeste Amato, and I am the clerk of the Board of Estimates. And this is the Baltimore City bid opening for January 11th, 2023. I am joined by my colleagues, Jalen Sanders, who will be reading the bids for us. I will be recording the bids as usual. And Audrey Quarles will be verifying the bid amounts in the copies provided. And thank you, Sherelle Holly, for organizing us as usual. First, I'm going to share some addenda. Please note the following addenda. For the Bureau of Procurement, RFQ 000109, air purification units, the bid opening date was originally scheduled for today. That new opening date is February 1st. 2023. And we also are noting an addenda for the Department of Public Works, contract number SC983R, improvements to PST scum collection system at the Patapsco wastewater treatment plant. The due date was originally today, the 11th, and that new bid opening date is January 18th, 2023. We have two openings today, and first up for the Bureau of Procurement, we have contract number RFQ 000111, collection of delinquent parking fines.
The first bid proposal is submitted by Harris & Harris, LTD.
And I have that address, so you don't need to give it to me, Jalen.
Okay.
And the amount listed, which I believe these are listed as a line item estimate, correct?
Yes, correct. The estimated annual contract value is $153,302.50.
I'm going to repeat that number back to you. 153,302.50.
Yes, that is correct.
And Miss Audrey's going to tell me, yes, I'm correct. You want me to say it again, Aud? Mm-hmm. That number was the bidder, Harris & Harris, LTD. The bid amount, $153,302.50.
Yep.
Okay. Up next.
Up next, we have a bid proposal submitted by Penn Credit Corporation. And the estimated annual contract value is $169,990.
And I'm going to repeat that number back, 169,990.00.
Yes, that is correct. You need the address or information?
I do not. I have the address, and I'm going to confirm one more time. That was Penn Credit Corporation, and the bid amount was $169,990 and zero change.
Yes, that's correct.
And up next.
And that one had 2 copies.
For Penn Credit?
Next up is the bid proposal submitted by Alliance One Receivables Management, Inc., and that is for the estimated annual contract value of $193,575.00.
That number was 193,575.00.
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay. And that was, again, a bid from Alliance One Receivables Management, Inc., $193,575.00.
Yes.
That one had 2 copies.
Thanks, Joelle.
The next bid is from RTR Financial Services, Inc., and the estimated annual contract value is $153,525.00.
That number was 153,525.00.
Yes.
That's correct.
That was a bid from RTR Financial Services, Inc., $153,525.
2 copies.
Thanks, Audrey. And I believe that is our final bid received for contract number RFQ 000111, collection of delinquent parking fines. You guys ready for the next one? Up next, we are opening another bid on behalf of Bureau of Procurement. That contract number is RFQ 000114. The contract name is Industrial Bearings and Seals. And I believe we are also going to have lump sum amounts for this one as well. No?
Yes, there's a proposal submitted by Bearing Distributors, Inc., and there's no pricing on it.
Okay. I think that we have a sheet indicating lump sum when really these are just qualifications.
Yes.
Okay. So folks, that means we're really not going to have a dollar amount to share because this is really requesting the qualifications only for this particular bid. So we have a response from Bearing Distributors, Inc. And then I believe we have a second response. Jalen, how many copies did we have of that, please?
Here, 3.
3 copies?
2 should be, 3 for that one, and there should be 2 for that one. We have one more from Motion Industries.
And again, this is a receipt of qualifications
Yes.
for industrial bearings and seals, and that respondent was Motion Industries. And I'll repeat both of those for our friends watching from home. We received 2 responses to this request for qualifications for the Bureau of Procurement, RFQ 000114, Industrial Bearings and Seals. The respondents were Bearing Distributors Incorporated and Motion Industries. And that is our final opening also today. So that's it, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Our next bid opening is scheduled for January 18th at 12 noon. We'll see you then. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.